Today, let's find out. I do have a few money line parlays for you guys, including a first four matchup. This is the free three. Let's get into it.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. Mike going under, that was just icing on the cake. Why are we going to go in such a weak AFC South? Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
What is up, my friends? It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make that money. Yesterday, it wasn't an official 3-0 sweep, but we can still play the horn. We can still go to home because we did have a 2-0 day. You love to see that. A 2-0 day is what we're looking for here. A 3-0 day just to try to stack up the wins. We're taking a little bit light until we dive into the full board of games tomorrow. I'm super excited to drop my bracket today to see who you guys have as the winner. We locked in one of our futures yesterday with Florida to win the national championship. So that's one future that we locked in, and we're going to lock in one more tomorrow here on the show. So yesterday, a quick recap on how we did, and then we're going to go into the plays for today real quick. We had a 2-0 day, like I mentioned, really a 3-0 day. We had a Nerfy, but I didn't give that out on the channel yesterday because obviously that game was at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the Nerfy also hit today in the Dodgers-Cubs game. So we're 2-0 on Nerfies this season, so you love to see that. And then we also got the Alabama State and Dallas moneyline parlay, and this is why we take the moneyline parlays, guys. I know there's some people out there on gambling Twitter who are like, oh, you're buying picks from a moneyline parlay guy, or moneyline parlays is stupid, whatever. Alabama State was 2.5-point favorites. If you take them on the spread, you lose the bet. We took them on the money line, and we win. That's the difference. And this is a game as well that could have been a 1-point game. So there might be some people out there, well, this is why I buy the 1.5 point. Sometimes that happens. So keep that in mind. That's why we do the moneyline parlay so much in conference tournament time. And also here is because you're not getting 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Like, you're getting 5.5-point spreads when they should be 3.5. You're getting 2.5-point spreads when they should be pick'ems. Why? Because they know how big free throws account for right now at this point in the season. The other winner of the day was Kyle Kuzma over 12.5 points. You could have laddered this thing up. No sweat bet there. I think that thing cashed in the first half. So that is an official 3-0, 2-0 day there on the channel. So you love to see that. So hopefully we can keep that momentum here going on today. And what we're going to do real quickly, guys, I'm having some difficulties like crazy today with my screen. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can get us back to the picks for today, because I don't know. I think I minimized all my screens instead of everyone. There we go. Alrighty, let's get into the board for today. First four matchup, Mount St. Mary's American University, and then also we have Xavier in Texas. So I'm going to play today very similar to how we did yesterday. All right, guys? So what we did yesterday was we stayed off the late night game, the 11 seed game, which is what I typically tend to do because those games could go either way. Shout out to UNC for getting it done. I mentioned that I leaned San Diego State yesterday, but I also said I probably would take the over anything else, and that hit. In this matchup is the same exact thing. I would love to take Xavier, but it's super chalky. Everybody and their mom is on Xavier. Like, if you go to Action Network real quickly, and we take a look at, sometimes they like show like the experts picks. I don't know what the criteria is for calling somebody an expert, but literally this is the first Texas 3.5 I've seen. Everything's been Xavier. I'm not saying Xavier doesn't win. Xavier's been hot. They have, but Texas also plays in the SEC, so they're used to playing good teams game in, game out. The reason why I'm staying off of this game is because if you guys are into making your brackets off of facts, then you do know that in the last 15 of the last 16 tournaments, that a team that wins one of the 11 seeds that win the first 4 game also wins their first round game. So you have to ask yourself, is it going to be UNC beating Ole Miss, or is it going to be Texas Xavier beating whoever is on their side of the bracket? I think it's Illinois, right? So you have to ask yourself that question. And for me, I think it's either going to be Texas or Xavier that's going to beat Illinois. And I just don't care which team it is, because for me, it's more important for the next round. So I do lean Xavier. I do lean the over. I do like the over more than anything else, but I'm going to just take American University here, and what we're going to do with them against St. Mary's is we're going to take them on the money line, and then we're going to parlay this with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves are huge favorites today in the NBA. I'm not going to dive in that game too much, but they're playing the Pelicans. The Pelicans right now are auto fade mode. They're banged up. They're injured left and right. Nobody's playing for them that you know. Even Herb Jones just got hurt. You never know who's playing game in, game out. The Timberwolves are still in contention, obviously, in the West. They lost a bad game last game out against the Pacers at home. I actually bet on the Timberwolves in that game on the money line, and that was just because Obi Toppin went into like prime Jordan with like the last 2 minutes ago. He had like 4 3-pointers. 3 of them were like heavily contested. It was crazy. So, shout out to Obi Toppin. He's an NBA player. But, I mean, the Wolves really should have won that game. They're figuring it out with the whole Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards experiment. Are they good enough to get back to the Western Conference Finals? No. Are they good enough to make the playoffs? Yes. So these games against the lower inferior opponents in the Western Conference, they matter. So I'm going to take them today on the money line. But anytime they play like a better team, I kind of get a little bit nervous. But American is the team that we're looking at here. And we can take them as an individual leg at minus 145. But one of the reasons why we've been able to grow our bankroll so much over the last few weeks, over the past month, is because we're not laying a whole lot of heavy juice. We're not laying a whole lot of minus 145s, minus 150s multiple times on a card, because I do have an expensive play coming here in a second. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go the money line, and then Minnesota Timberwolves, that gets you to minus 110. If you want to add an extra team in there to get to plus value, be my guest. I'm not opposed to it. So the reason why we like American, guys, is American is very similar. If you tapped into the show about a few weeks ago, we had taken American to win their Patriot League. So if we go to KenPom real fast, we can take a look at them. We can look at American, and we can see that during the regular season, I mentioned that this has been a conference that historically has been run by Colgate. Colgate has made it to the NCAA tournament the last 4 years in this conference. This was the first year that any other team has made it. So Bucknell had got upset by Navy. And I had mentioned to you that American had beaten Colgate, and that was kind of like the passing of the guard game, right? And if you see here, American's been very good all year. 22-12, 13-5 in conference, tied for the regular season conference championship, and they win outright to win the conference tournament, winning 3 games in a row. They don't have to win it in 3 games in 3 days. You can see they get a break in between, but they won all those games besides the first one pretty handily, and they looked pretty good going down the stretch. Now, Mount St. Mary's, on the other hand, if you look at how they won their conference tournament, they won 3 games in a row, including their last regular season. But I think I have the bracket pulled up right here. We can see here that Mount St. Mary's was a 6 seed. They upset a number 3 seed in Marist. Shout out to them for getting the upset. Then they upset a number 2 seed in Merrimack, which they should have never really won that game. Merrimack blew that game, and I was betting on Merrimack that game. You guys know we've been on Merrimack boys all year. But then they don't even have to play the best team in the conference, Quinnipiac, because Quinnipiac gets upset by Iona. And they end up beating Iona pretty handily, but Iona's not really that good of a squad offensively. So, again, Mount St. Mary's, they have to play the opponents that are in front of them. And they were able to win a 3 seed and a 2 seed. So I'm not saying that Mount St. Mary's is not hot. I'm not saying they're not a good team. But they didn't have to go through the best team in their conference, being Quinnipiac, in order to get to this point today, which is playing in the 16 seed game against Iona. And for me, not against Iona, against American. And that matters, because you can beat a 4 seed and make it to the NCAA tournament, and hey, fate's on our side, destiny. We did our hard work in the semifinals. Kudos to you, but you let your foot off the gas, and you've been a 6 seed all year. That's how you've been playing basketball. 12-8 in conference isn't bad, but it's not amazing either. Then it just comes down to which team is better. And for me, the better team is American. They're pretty fair on KenPom. You can see 238 for American on KenPom, 249 for Mount St. Mary's. So they're very similar, but what did I mention yesterday with the reading on St. Francis? The turnovers were going to be the problem. How many turnovers did St. Francis have that kept the game, or kept Alabama State in the game yesterday? Even on the last possession, the dude dribbled off his foot. Even in the last play with the Hail Mary pass. Right? And I know that's not a turnover, but it's that style of basketball. It's lackadaisical. You don't value possessions. You're sloppy. And that is what this Mount St. Mary's team does. 359th in turnover percentage on the offensive side, 294th in adjusted efficiency. So they're not very good offensively. Yes, they do hit a good amount of threes, and they defend the three-point line very well. So defense is their name of their game, and they have to hope this one stays very low-scoring, a very muddy type of game. But American, they have the size. And what American can do as well is take advantage of the extra possessions that they're going to get because of those turnovers from Mount St. Mary's. And that's going to help them now be able to shoot the ball at a high clip, get to the free throw line. They're 120th in effective field goal percentage, which is very good for a conference of their size. But I love this number here, 349th in tempo. So you have a team that turnovers the ball a lot against a team that plays very slow. What does that mean? More possessions for a team like American. I give advantage American here. Both of these teams are very similar in style, but I do think that American is the better team. We've been rocking with them. I mentioned that they know that this is their season, this is their year. They've got a very good squad. If you look here, scroll down at KenPom, one thing that I do like is the size that they have. Their best player, Matt Rogers, he's 6'9". He's an experienced senior. Greg Jones, another key contributor, he's 6'6". So they do have the size that some of the mid-major programs that you do need to have come this time of year. So we're going to lock in this money line parlay as our first best bet of the day. For our second pick of the day, and that covers our first 4 college basketball bet of the day, we're going to go to the NBA for our remaining picks, all right? We've been cashing on player props here recently. We've been just trying to find one bet, trying to choose our spots. Once college wraps up, we're going to have plenty of time to just dive in and craft prize pick slips and all that good jazz and go crazy with the player props. But one player prop today that I'm going to take a look at is going to be in this Magic and Rockets game. And we're going to go to Doink Sports to kind of help us break down this game. And we're going to go to Mr. Paolo Banchero. And obviously, he's been doing great recently from the points perspective, averaging 30.6 points per game over the last 10 games. And that his line today is at 25.5. If you want to take that, be my guest. But the line that I'm going to take today is actually going to be Paolo over 1.5 3-pointers. And I guarantee you this line's already jumped up from what it opened, or I got it at minus 130, I believe, when I was researching it this morning. So it was a little bit of expensive, which is another reason why I don't want to lay American minus 145. I don't want to lay too heavy juiced plays. I'm really trying to practice the bankroll management here. So you can see it's up to minus 140. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to lay the minus 140 here. Now, again, if you want to get creative with your book and do a parlay with it, be my guest. But for the sake of the show, we're just going to go here. And I could have got it at minus 130, but now it's up to minus 140. We got to do what we got to do. So the reason why I like over 1.5 3-pointers here is because Paolo's been shooting significantly a lot of 3-pointers lately. If you can see right here in this row, he's averaging 6.6 3-point attempts per game. He's averaging about 2.5 of those. Last game, he had 3 against the Cavaliers, 2 the game before that, 4 against the game against the Pelicans, 2 against the Rockets, 4 against the Bucks. So he's gone over in 5 straight games and 7 of the last 10 games. So not too bad. At a line at 1.5, we only need 2 3-pointers, and a guy who's averaging about 6 to 7 attempts, you're literally asking him, bro, I just need you to go 25-30%, and we're good to go. So that's one major factor that I like here. Now, the other thing that I'm looking at here is how that the Houston Rockets defense has defended the 3-point line recently. And if you look at some of the similar players to Banchero, he actually played this Rockets team on March the 10th, so 9 days ago, and that was one of the games where he went 2 of 6 and 10 of 23 from the field. So he just went over against them. But look at this. Although the hit rate is only 3 out of 10 for the last 10 similar players to Paolo, look at it. The attempts, though. Siakam, 0 of 5. Kuzma, 1 of 4. Lauri Markkanen, 3 of 10. Scotty Barnes, 0 of 8. Tatum, 1 of 7. What does that tell you? And then Tatum here again, 4 of 10. The attempts are there. So that means defensively, whatever scheme the Rockets are running is positioned or it's set up to allow power forwards to shoot the 3 ball at a pretty high clip. I mean, 7 attempts for Tatum, 8 for Scotty Barnes, 5 for Siakam, 10 for Markkanen. It's just, the fact is, if you look at that, the 3 out of 10 number, 30% number, then you're going to say, well, they're not hitting. Well, that's on Jason Tatum. That's on Siakam, right? But when I look at the numbers for now, Paolo, to see that he has been hitting his shots recently, gone over this in 5 straight games, including going right against this same Rockets team and going over this number, that gives me the confidence here to say, you know what? I like him in this spot to be able to take this. And if you look at it at home as well, he just missed against the Bulls on, what was that, March the 6th, which was their last home game. So it's been a little bit of a while since they played at home. So I like that spot for him to be able to come back home, be able to get some shots up. He's been attempting a good amount. So over 1.5 3-pointers for Paolo. Again, it is a little bit juiced. If you want a money line parlay with something else, not money line, but like player prop parlay with something else, be my guest. But we're locking that in as our second pick of the day. Third and final best bets, guys. We got Paolo. We've got American on the money line, and we just threw the Timberwolves in there. Is going to be another money line parlay because those have been doing well for us. I'm probably going to start getting away from these once we get done with tournament time, in all honesty. And I don't see myself taking a lot of money line parlays in the NBA. But right now, we're starting to get into that time of the season where you can clearly see what teams are tanking. You can clearly see which teams are fighting for a playoff push. You can see which teams are trying to win games despite injuries. It's a little bit easier to handicap NBA from the perspective of a money line spread perspective when you know who's playing, when you know who's not playing, or when you know what teams are motivated and which ones aren't. So we might have a few money line parlays coming up in more recent times, but I don't feel like I'm going to be taking a bunch. But for today, we're going to go Pistons, Knicks, Thunder, all on the money line. Now, the Pistons are the main leg here at minus 180 that we're going to be building off of. If you just want to go the Thunder at home against the 76ers, that gets you to minus 120. Make your money, go on, get out. If you want to take the Pacers against the Mavericks, obviously the Mavericks are super injured right now. They don't have anybody. Pacers coming off a big road win against the Wolves. I'm not opposed to that. I actually think I like that Ben then taking the Knicks, in all honesty, because the Knicks worry me. The Knicks should win this game against the Spurs. Obviously, the Spurs are dealing with a lot of injury news, but the Spurs have still been competitive recently. So, you know what? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go Pistons, Pacers, and Thunder. I think that's better than the Knicks here. I don't want to take the Knicks here. I do want to take the Knicks, but I don't want to take the Knicks. I do think they win, though. But the main leg here is going to be the Pistons against the Heat. Now, if we look at this game just like super duper quickly on the numbers, the Pistons have been red hot, right? 38 and 31 on the year. Let's scroll down here on the bottom of action. Let me just lock this in real quick so we can move this out the way. You can see here that the Pistons have won 3 of their last 5 games. Not too shabby. The loss against the Wizards was a little bit alarming after being 13-point favorites. But they just played them the night before. Then obviously losing against the Thunder. That's one of the top teams in the league, right? They handled the Pelicans pretty handily last time out. And that's another reason why I like them here against the Heat, because the Heat have been struggling offensively. When you just drop 127 and you barely play your starters for 4 quarters, that gives you a lot of confidence. They dropped 125 against the Wizards here, 123, 119. The Pistons are scoring points, and that's the Heat's problem right now. They can win games when it's like when the game is between like 90 and 110. But if it starts getting upwards of 115, 120, 130, the Heat don't have the firepower to do that. Tyler Hero, he's going to give you 22 to 25. Bam, he's going to give you 18 to 22. And then Terry Rozier is throwing in bet slips and point shaving out there. So it's high-scoring games don't really work in their favor. So for me, it's advantage Pistons. Now, if we look at the Heat here recently, you can see 5 straight losses, 95 points against the Knicks, 91 against the Grizzlies. And that's a team that drops 120, 130 points per game. So you can see 91 against the Celtics, 104 against the Clippers, 102 against the Hornets. I'm not making this up. You can see right here with the numbers. So it's like with the Heat, if they're playing against a team that has tempo, that has pace, and that has defense like the Pistons do, what are we talking about? We do have to look at the injury news. Obviously, there's no Jaden Ivey. And then Isaiah Stewart, we have to see if he plays. But I don't know why we're getting such a short spread here at 4.5, 5.5. Maybe because the Heat are at home and the Pistons on the road. But I mean, for me, the Heat they're gonna try to win games. Maybe they get into a playing spot, but they're not winning this game. And the Pistons are just playing really good ball right now. And like I said, the starters didn't play a whole lot against the Pelicans anyway, so they should be rested. They should be good to go. They should get a good game here. So we're gonna take the Pistons on the money line. Thunder at home against the 76ers. Do we need to talk about that? Thunder probably one of the best teams in the league. If they don't win this title this year, that's okay. They're going to win the regular season title because they're going to win every game. So they're pretty damn good. And obviously we know what's going on with the 76ers from an injury perspective. And then injuries have been the bane of the Mavericks' existence. And you guys know ever since the Luka trade, everything's gone downhill there. So that's really what we're going with for the three teams. So ignore the Knicks graphic there, and we're going to go with the Pacers. So three quick picks for today. Pistons, OKC, and the Pacers. That gets you to plus 123. That's a NBA moneyline parlay. Then we're going to go American and Minnesota on another two-way parlay at minus 110. This is our way of playing American on the money line. If you want to take minus 1.5, be my guest. I would not lay the 2.5 though. We saw yesterday what happened with Alabama State. And we're also going to pile up Bankero over 1.5 3-pointers, and that is our expensive play of the day at minus 140. Shop around with that as well, because I'm sure you might be able to parlay that with something or use that as like sort of a prize pick slip. All right. Appreciate you tapping in Extraordinary Picks. Appreciate you guys who are here on the Twitch stream, who are here on the YouTube, who tap in. I try to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time when I do the live stream. I am going to be traveling to a casino tonight, so I can bet the games in person tomorrow and Friday. So I will have a video for you guys, but I just don't think I'll be live streaming. So make sure you guys tap in to the Noble Living Action, and then the Instagram, the Twitter. I'll make sure I post the plays on Twitter and Action for sure. I'll have a video for you guys, and then my bracket as well. If there's anybody here who's in any bracket pools, let me know. I'm always willing to pay to play to get into any more additional brackets, Survivor, anything like that. Or if you have one on Splash, just let me know. I'll love to join, all right? Appreciate you guys for tapping in. Drop a comment for me. If we sweep the board again today, we'll Venmo somebody some money. It wasn't a real 3-0 sweep yesterday, so, I mean, if somebody wants the bread, sure, I got you. But, you know, we're just going to keep getting hot, right, John? We've been hotter than fish grease, bro, so let's keep it going, man. And that's it. We got our big days tomorrow, man. Our big days tomorrow and Friday. Hopefully we can clean up this weekend. Let's make some money, guys, and let's keep it going, all right? Appreciate all the love and support, and let's have a day. And then Noble Living on Action, I'll add another play for maybe Xavier and Texas a little bit late night, all right? Let's have a day. Later, guys.